Got a big idea but not sure where to start? Shopify makes it easy. From stunning templates to AI tools that write your product descriptions and boost your marketing, Shopify helps you build, sell, and grow fast. It's trusted by millions, from startups to brands like Gymshark and Mattel. And with 24/7 support, you're never on your own. Turn your dream into with Shopify. Start your $1 a month trial today at shopify.com/dax. That's shopify.com/dax.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pat O.
And also
Jeremiah Byron.
Oh my God, the world famous Jeremiah. This is what I hear, right? The word on the street.
Yes, thanks, Shannon.
We have another guest this week, you guys, and we don't do them very often. I'm excited. We put out I guess I put out a post there on social media trying to get more guests on the show and who you guys want to hear. Jeremiah had to reach out to. I was recently on Bigfoot Society podcast, which is Jeremiah's show. And it's a wonderful show. Jeremiah talks to everybody. So
thank you. Yeah.
I'm very excited to have you here to talk to us heathens. So that being said, Pat, how was your weekend?
It was all right. It was kind of uneventful.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm studying for my ham radio operator's license. So yeah, I know, because I have nothing better to do with my time than do that. So it was just interesting because it's a lot of it's kind of like, it's not like learning about French history when you kind of already know like European history.
Okay.
It's like kind of it's a lot of new shit altogether about bandwidths and sidebands and megahertz.
Oh yeah, sure.
All that stuff. So, but it's interesting and it's cool, and I like learning new things. So
there you go.
That's been my weekend. Did not go see Scream, unlike everyone else on
Same.
Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Not yet.
So I'll go see it at some point. I'm not necessarily like afraid of going to the theater, but I just was like, we did go to the movie theater. We went and saw Kingsman today. So I want to check that out before it left, because me and my son are huge fans of that franchise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar.
That was pretty good. And then the only other thing I want to recommend as far as media goes is the Peacemaker TV series. It just dropped on HBO Max, and it is by James Gunn. And it's the John Cena character from the second Suicide Squad movie. And he's got his own miniseries, and it's fucking hysterical. So I cannot recommend it enough. Very good time. Kept me laughing all weekend long. So.
I've seen that.
Pat, how do you feel about John Cena doing an Ernest reboot in like 10 years?
Is that real?
No, but like,
dude, as soon as
about
you
it, man.
said that, yeah, no, you nailed it, man. It's like, get this guy a job as a casting director. Jesus, that's fucking perfect. And I
read it somewhere, so
okay.
But still, I've kind of thought it too. It's
yeah, the face, he totally does it. Yeah,
oh yeah.
That's
and John Cena's become like one of those staples for kids. I mean, as weird as that sounds, but he's like he's a childhood idol, and so I mean, I think he does have like really good I think he could play like a child friendly character. Like, well, I guess Ernest. I don't know. I watched him as a child, so maybe it was just me. But.
Well, this role is Peacemaker is very, very NC-17, so it'll be interesting to see how. If there's any backlash to that. I don't think there will be, because the Rock can still go blue and come back. Wrestling is very forgiving. But this is definitely not a kid role, but it's entertaining for adults. So
I did. I also had a very uneventful weekend, but like I'm not usually the one that's recommending movies and whatnot. But I did watch a movie this weekend.
What did you watch?
I watched Antlers.
Is
the
that
Wendigo
good?
Movie?
Yeah, the Wendigo movie.
Yeah.
Is it good? Well, okay. Okay. If you are looking for a movie to watch because you want a Wendigo movie,
we've all been there before.
Yeah, right. It's not that good. But if you're looking for a movie to watch that has a lot of commentary and a lot of deep things, that's if you're looking for a movie about trauma, yeah, you should watch it. It's about trauma. It's what it's about.
Is it an A24 movie?
I don't know what that means.
It's a it's a movie maker house, right? I know there's another word for that, but
Right, but they did like Green Knight and like Midsummer, and like they do all those
yeah.
heady like
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
yeah.
about now. I know what you're referencing. Not necessarily. No, I mean it almost is, but it kind of isn't. Like they put a lot of focus in things that it really you blink and you miss it. But a lot of themes that they were trying to drive home that do add to the story, but you don't necessarily need it to follow the story. But then it just shows how very very art house it actually was. Now the creature itself looks amazing, but
Okay.
and the take on it is weird. But like you're talking about something like the Wendigo, which is strictly a Native American thing,
For sure.
and there was only one Native American man in the movie for like 5 seconds, and then that's it.
That's unfortunate.
Well, there's
That's
only
not
like
good.
7.
Yeah.
Oh, total, right?
I mean, so they probably had like 17% of the population in it. So I mean, good for them.
Terrible.
That's not.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but you're right. No, I mean it's I guess so. I mean, I just felt like there was definitely a missed opportunity there. But then again, I'm coming at it from an investigator's perspective and somebody that's looked really a lot into the lore. It wasn't bad. There's definitely been worse depictions in Hollywood. It's the best Wendigo movie that's out there. It's not a bad. I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie. It's not. Just that I feel like a lot of people are hyping it up, and it's way overhyped. And so go into it with that. Just have fun with it. I'll watch it again. As a matter of fact, I've watched it 3 times this whole weekend.
3 times. Wow. Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you, it's because
with
I
3 different guests that you had over at your apartment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had one movie from Redbox.
Weekend.
You had one movie from Redbox, and you kept inviting dudes over and been like, "Hey, you want to watch Antlers?"
That was exactly.
Yes,
That's my weekend.
Come on, I've done this with you for how many years now? I know how you fucking operate.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I had a really hard time. I had a really hard time keeping. I had a hard time tracking it, and because I was being a bit overly critical, so I was trying to pay attention to the details, and like something would happen. I'd like look away for a second, and something would happen, and I'd be like, "What the fuck just happened? And what happened?" And it turns out it was nothing. I didn't miss anything. So it was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so that's what I did this weekend. That was really it. Jeremiah, anything exciting that you did this weekend?
Well, let's see. So the main thing was we had that storm come through.
Oh yeah.
And like we got like 14 inches of snow. It was the most snow Iowa has gotten since 2009. So like it was relatively rough. Like it was a team effort. We were working on it for about 2.5 hours, and then like after that, I was just like totally like, ugh, this is terrible, and like got to go back to the chiropractors when they open. So pretty much just hanging out. Like we had the day off today, which was nice. So watched that. Remember the Charlie Brown movie that came out a few years ago?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The most recent one.
It's the one. I guess the one that was in theaters, and like. It's a pretty solid
CGI
movie.
One.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It is pretty good actually. I did enjoy that one. Well, that's good. That sounds easy. We've been having we've been in what they've been calling a weather donut here in Ohio.
Oh.
And so somebody had mentioned, they were like, I like posted a picture or something, and one of my internet friends was like, "Is it not snowing there?" It was Drew Schmidt actually. He was like, "Is it not snowing there?" I was like, "Listen, it was like 70 degrees on Christmas. Like it hasn't."
Yeah, for real.
Snowed here like at all, and so it finally did. Now granted, I'd say we probably have maybe 3 inches right now, which is, I mean, it's a good snow, right? But that's about it. And so we've just been vegging out at home.
Yeah, I'm right between you guys in Illinois, and we got a light dusting at best. We got nothing. Yeah, it went south of us. It just went. Listen to us sitting here talking about the weather like a couple old men, but like, yeah.
Right. A
lot of regional content for the Ohio, for the Great Lakes area. But no, yeah, we had, I don't know, it was like in the 20s and 30s. I don't know. When I left the house today, I was like, this is parade weather. Like it wasn't too bad. It was parade day, St. Patrick's Day parade weather.
How do you know you got 3 Midwesterners on the same podcast?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Did it snow? Oh yeah, it snowed. Anyway, that's a really good point. So I do want to bring up something before I get like deep into the news here. I want to bring up something kind of anecdotal that was brought to my attention over the weekend, and being the youngest one here, it makes me feel old as fuck, and. But somebody had brought up the fact that, like, the Flintstones, right? The Flintstones.
Yep.
To kids nowadays, kids don't know who the fuck the Flintstones are. The Flintstones now are strictly characters from a cereal box or from vitamins. Just depends on what kind of childhood you've got going on. But they don't actually, there is no new Flintstones content. Like, there's no context behind
That's
the
weird.
cereal.
Yeah, that's
Isn't that weird?
I gotta say that vitamin marketing is like incredibly resilient. I can't think of any like partnership, like think about it. Like it's like just a whole like license. Like oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and then it not only outlasts like it outlasts the series by God knows how many decades.
Yeah.
But every reboot, revival, or movie or nothing, but those they still make those fucking vitamins. You know, it's
Still
crazy.
make those fucking vitamins. Still do.
Are-
Oh, and they
are they
hold up too.
exception-
They're great.
Are
They're
they
great
yeah, I
tasting.
exceptionally
love
good?
Flintstones,
Like
yeah.
I don't even. I know they taste good. I remember like as a kid, like popping them like candy. But like I don't know if they're necessarily like as far as vitamins go, like top tier.
I mean, yeah, I mean they are. I actually, I took them during my pregnancy. They told me I could take Flintstone vitamins instead of prenatals. It's the same stuff. I did. I took
You're
them
like
during my
going
whole
through
pregnancy.
contractions, and you're like, "We are Flintstones kids."
yeah. Yeah, 10 million strong and growing. That's what it is. No, it was but no, it blew my mind, you know what I mean? Like these kids just have no idea. I mean, I guess you could show your kids the Flintstones, but even like have you
Mhm.
watched the Flintstones as an adult? Like it's not very kid friendly.
It's okay. I know there was commercials with them smoking that like they always bust
Oh
out.
yeah, those are
sometimes as a
yeah.
joke.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, I mean, and it is. I mean, so I mean, it's pretty. It's
But-
neat to check it out.
It's interesting. Well, I mean, hey, this fits the theme of the podcast. One of the things that the Flintstones did that I always thought was interesting as fuck is the Great Kazoo, where they bring in
Oh,
the
yeah.
ancient alien,
Oh yeah,
ancient
Totally.
astronaut theory, where like they introduce us the idea that aliens may have visited cave people and influenced their development, and that was something that I was exposed to at a very young age, and it was probably the only type of media that was, that and Scooby Doo, like embracing the paranormal. Like I don't think
Oh,
it was
you're
for
right.
sure, yeah.
necessarily done intentional, but
No wonder why we grew up fucking weirdos. That makes sense now.
Hanna Barbera. There you go.
For real, for real.
It was.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
that you're right. That is very topical. Remember when the Flintstones met the Jetsons?
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
the best.
Wasn't that the craziest shit ever? That's like the best crossover of all time. Like I don't care who you are, that's the best one. Freddy versus
oh,
Jason.
wait.
Jason, no.
Can I also give
Flintstones
you
and
the most
Jetsons.
amazing crossover of all time?
Okay.
Is the did you ever see the cartoon where it's like all the cartoons from across the entire cartoon universe get
Wacky
together
Races?
and they're like don't do drugs, but it's like it's Alf hanging out with the Ninja Turtles, hanging out with Mickey Mouse. I'm serious. This thing exists. You have
Yes.
to find it and watch it. It is so good.
There
Don't do
is
drugs.
Kyle Mooney, who's an SNL writer
Yes.
and actor. Did you
Yes.
see the TV thing that he did for Netflix?
I saw the trailer for it and I was like, this is
That
so
weird-
amazing.
They do an
Yeah.
episode that's that with because he comes up with his own Saturday morning, I don't know, like Channel 5. Well, NBC would have it for, I guess I'm being too regional, but where
Right.
he has like a half dozen of his own Saturday morning cartoons that you see like 5-minute snippets of, and then once you get familiarized with all of them, they do the drug episode where they combine different characters,
Oh, my
and it
goodness,
clashes
yes.
just as much as you remember the old one clashing. And that whole thing that he did, like I was watching that when I first came home from the hospital and was on fucking drugs.
Oh
And,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's totally worth checking out. It's very surreal. I don't know if you can
Okay.
necessarily binge it, but it's definitely worth the watch.
Wow.
I was gonna say the best part of those old drug PSAs are watching them while you do drugs. That's what they're good for. But anyway,
Flintstone
so,
vitamins you're talking about, right?
Right?
Flintstone vitamins,
to
yeah.
Tie it back to where we came from. but-
No, that's really all. That was really all my bit about it. Was that you're right? So Flintstones have survived because the Flintstones knew when they ran the gambit on what they had, and they
Mhm.
created something else. They rebranded, and now they're alive in cereal and vitamins. So, good
Yeah.
for them. Good for
Yeah.
them. Another more topical actual news. Is that there has now been a new 3D map created of the universe.
What?
Oh yeah, and this new 3D map that's been created, now it showcases 8 million galaxies,
Whoa.
which is double what we had mapped previously. So here I'm going to try to explain this in a way that people can understand it, but it's hard. So the way that they map the universe is through oh my god, what's it called? It's like red signal or red wave or something like that. I can't remember, red something. And they measure the universe with light. Okay, so they have a big telescope that can sense light and like the directions that it's coming from. So once it spots a portion of light, I'm sorry, not spots a portion of light, the light travels to our planet, okay? And light travels not as quickly as we believe in space, and then it pings off the satellite and they go, oh, there's something over that way. We don't necessarily know what it is. We just assume that it's galaxies. So that is already very weird. So what's even weirder is that like by the time we discover that planet, that universe, that galaxy, that part of the universe exists, it's already been like billions and billions of years.
Oh man.
Of
Wow.
its right. Big concepts. So again, and I said there's 8 billion galaxies, or I'm sorry, was it 8 billion or 8 million? No, 8 million galaxies, my bad. 8 million galaxies mapped out. We are one planet on one solar system in one galaxy.
It's crazy.
Right? It's crazy. So, that just kind of leads more evidence to the fact that we're probably not the only people here, right? I mean, we're not the only intelligent life form here. It's almost, that many possibilities out there. It's almost impossible. But it still calls the question. I mean, people wonder, the big question is not whether or not there's alien life, but whether or not they're visiting us, which, with that many possibilities, I don't know. I think it might be good chances. But I thought that was interesting. Really cool stuff. If you're really into that, I'm not gonna get in all the physics and stuff of it. But this is a project that they're going to be doing now for the next 5 years with this specific satellite and this new map, and definitely they're going to try to expand on that and see if they can find more and see more. But like I said, by the time that light hits us and we know it's even there, it's already been. And I mean, that planet has already been a thing. It's already been in progress. It's already been doing its thing. So the possibilities are amazing.
Wow, that's crazy.
That just doesn't sound right to me.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, dude, if it was that big out there and that expansive, why are a handful of people reporting like infrequent encounters with like the same 4 fucking alien races? It should be like the Star Wars cantina. You know what I mean? Like there should be that sounds like there should be an abundance of life, not just like greys and praying mantises and reptilians and Nordics. You know what I mean? It's not like, think of like what you just said, like the enormity of what you just described. How are we not inundated with alien life?
Or you could look at it the other way, where it's like, so Asher's is like 8 million galaxies out there. We're one planet in a galaxy of 8 million galaxies. It's amazing that anyone's found us at all. I don't know. It's like either way is crazy. It like blows your mind.
Well,
you know?
right. We are an absolute drop in the bucket. But Pat, I know what you're saying. But Pat, think of it this way, okay? If some of these theories about some of these cryptids, because some people believe that some of these cryptids are actually not cryptids, but they're like an alien race, and even things like ghosts. Some people don't believe that ghosts are dead people. They think that it's more of an intelligent other set of species. So you're not talking about 4 different species of alien. Not to mention there's way more. I mean, there's tons of things.
I just meant I read a non-million number, like a relatively small.
For real, yeah.
And there very well could be. It's just that we have to look at what the possibilities are. Like we're not really looking outside of the box in the way of like fringe sciences, because when you look at things like Mothman, that's obviously an alien. Then you got things like the Flatwoods Monster that looks like nothing else we've ever seen.
But then even all these creatures that traveled here, and none of them have ever like established contact.
Because we are more than most likely we are very, very infantile compared to them. Why would they?
I'm pretty sure the dolphins have been trying, and we just can't understand
it. I grew up playing Eco the Dolphin. I have a soft spot for dolphin theory.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, you can sell me on that. I'll buy
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Maybe we'll talk about topics one time. But yeah, I mean, and also, yeah, maybe they just haven't found us yet. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
It's just I think when you talk in numbers that big, like there's certain, and this is something that we've talked about on the show before, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But I think there's certain, if you keep all this paranormal and all this high strangeness in a certain, I mean, even that we need to keep in a certain box for us to wrap our minds around it, right?
Sure.
When you start talking
Absolutely.
about millions and millions and millions of fucking galaxies and universes and shit, it almost gets too big for you to properly conceptualize and for you to keep your logic intact. You know what I mean? Like it gets too warped, and you're like, wait a minute, like it's that big, it's that expansive. There's that many There's that much potential for life. There's that much potential for intelligent life. You know what I mean? And more advanced than us that could easily find us. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not saying I think the math is wrong. I'm not arguing with the story. I'm just saying like it blows my mind when you talk about numbers that
Well,
big.
it is, and I mean, and we've been saying that. I mean, you're talking about these things, but again, the concept is that we are third dimensional creatures in an infinite dimensional world. I know, like on paper, we'll say there's 10. That's what we say. There's 10 dimensions, but realistically, there's once you hit the 10th, it's infinity, and that's what that means in the terms of the physics community. And so, if we're only number 3 there, then yeah, there are possibilities way, way, way beyond us that we can't comprehend. We just can't. We never will.
Right.
We're not made to. So, but no, I mean, no, great points though. I mean, really, it definitely gets you thinking. It makes you feel very small. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Minimum, right?
Oh yeah.
So, I just wanted to. I thought that was fun to bring up, and it made for some pretty good banter there. But we're not here so much to talk about those kinds of topics today. Obviously we have a guest for a reason. Jeremiah, what you want to tell people? I kind of gave a little intro for you, but you want to tell people who you are and what you do? And
Yeah, that's a good one. So my name is Jeremiah. I am the podcast host of a podcast called Bigfoot Society, where I interview different people that have something to do with the cryptozoology field. And that could be people from Bigfoot researchers to people that make stuff on Etsy to authors, all over the place. And it could be researchers you've never heard of. I like having people that are like really new to the scene and
Sure.
like catch them before they get big. That's always a fun thing. And yeah, I just kind of, let's see, I've been doing this podcast for a few years. I got really bored when the pandemic started, like everyone else, and
sure.
there were a lot of podcasts started. But yeah, just kind of like started, kept on pushing, and like it's amazing what kind of the guests I've been able to talk to so far. And like we were able to set up a booth at the Van Meter Visitor Festival, and plan to go to CryptoCon this year and be at the Van Meter Visitor Festival again, and because it's like 20 minutes away from me, so got to do that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And I listen to Bigfoot Society.
Thank you.
We met through actually because you are the official father of the Cryptozoology Club on Clubhouse that we talk about. We talk about it all the time on the show because I'm on it all the time. But so so if you guys like this, I keep telling you, stop sleeping on Clubhouse.
You do find your way on an awful lot of panels.
I do.
She's so good.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You got one coming up this Thursday, actually, don't you?
Yeah, you're right. I almost forgot about it. Actually, this Thursday I have a back-to-back. I do. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I love it. It's fine. But Thursday, I think, I think it's at 8 Eastern. I don't know. I'll let you guys know for sure. I'm on Instagram Live with Aaron Dees from Hey Strangeness.
Oh heck yes.
Which has been a great time. I've had, he does it. Well, he's been doing it at minimum once a week, sometimes more. But he does these Instagram lives, and plus, Hey Strangeness. I mean, you guys have heard him on the show before. He's great. The show's great. They're
so good.
Him
so
and
good.
Sarah are just, I love them. They're so precious. So I definitely recommend them. But and then after that at 9:30 Eastern, I'll be on Cryptocasters talking about exactly this 40 in podcasting. So, and Jeremiah will be there also. So check that
Yes, I
out.
will. It'll be
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it'll be a great time.
The Clubhouse thing is really cool because it's like if people it's literally like how this podcast is, but if you think about like the people that you like to watch in cryptid documentaries and listen to in podcasts, but they're like hanging out with you there, and you can actually like create meaningful relationships with them because like you're talking through
Oh
audio,
yeah.
it's audio only. It's just a really cool experience. So, yeah.
I've met some really great people over there, and
Oh my goodness, yeah.
we've had some really awesome people jump in and share their stories, and you know, it is quite the experience. And
Mm-hmm.
they've done a little bit more now with it. It's not as exclusive as it used to be.
Right.
You know, you can do playbacks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, which is all the more reason to join, because even if you miss it now, you can go back and re-listen to it. But no, it's really good. I mean, so you jumped on this Clubhouse thing. I mean, you're really good about keeping up with the trends. You know, how do you do? I mean,
Man, I can't remember how I well, I watch a lot of like entrepreneurial stuff like Gary
smart.
V, and I think it was one of those shows where it was like, hey, this thing is coming up. It's really hard to get into, but it's going to be there's some really good um opportunities for creating relationships and stuff. And so it took me like a month to try to get a connection to get in there, and
Okay.
then I had to like Nick Fury everyone, like literally build the cryptid community from the ground level because there was nothing. There was alien community like crazy on it. There were
Oh yeah.
no cryptid stuff at all. So I was like, hey, give me your phone numbers because I gotta have it so I can give you a beta invite. And it was really
Yeah.
sketchy, but like it worked, and now anyone can join it, which is really nice. But like at the beginning, it was really cool because we would have like a small group, and then like Rob Lowe popped into our room one night,
Oh
and he
yeah.
was like, "Hey, I like the Legend of Boggy Creek, and here's why." And I was like, "This is Rob Lowe? No way!" But we don't have a recording of that, so. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it wasn't really, and you were doing. I mean, you were recording things for Bigfoot Society from Clubhouse, and it was really wasn't it really primitive. I'm not sure exactly how you recorded it all, but
Um, So I have a device called a Zoom P4, a PodTrack P4, and it allows me to connect to my phone and get the audio from it. And then I can record that directly to an SD card on the device.
well, you don't have to do that anymore now.
Yeah, that's true. It's built right into the thing. Yeah, it's
I know.
awesome. Anyone can
Yeah, you
do
can
it,
do it
really.
now. It is nice, and you just like I said, you really have no idea. You know, sometimes we've had some really very deep conversations, very very much full of critical thinking and science and amazingness, and like I
Oh,
said, fresh
man.
stories,
Yeah.
and sometimes Tate gets on there, and just kidding.
Oh, I love Tate, but he is like,
He's funny.
you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. It's awesome. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, the room you led the one night where it was like the story room, and
Oh
like
yeah.
there was the the Native American gentleman who was telling us like
Oh yeah.
old like legend tales and stuff, and then like the gentleman who was in the military,
Yeah.
and he had
Yep.
Bigfoot encounters. I'll leave it vague there. But
Sure.
no, that was probably the best room I've ever heard in my life. Like that
Oh
was an
yeah.
amazing room you led. So
It was, and it just, and people just kept, I mean, coming up. I mean, it was probably the
yeah.
biggest room we had
Oh,
on
for
the
sure. Yeah.
club, and then also just such diversity in it. And again, these people just, they're just they weren't part of the Cryptozoology Club. They found it and they came
Mm-hmm.
on, and that's the best part when you have things like that happen. You'll get
Totally.
trolls and things, but
Oh, it's
I
the
mean,
best. Yeah.
not very often, but yeah, I mean, so I mean, that's now become one of your things, like I said, that you have under your belt that you've created. I mean, like I said, this is your club. I mean, I know you've given it to the people, but but that's how we connected. And I was invited by Sarah Cooper from the American
Mm-hmm.
Snallygaster Museum
Oh
to
yeah.
come and talk on what was it, Them Days and Gays. That
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
a
I
show
forgot
that they
about
were
that
doing.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that show probably. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but it like there are conversations on that show that have never been made talked about in the cryptozoology community. Like that was a really groundbreaking show, I think.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was.
it
It
was good.
was.
It was
It
good.
focused on that niche community
Yeah.
that now cryptozoology has been kind of starting to kind of be the mascot for, and so it was very interesting.
Mm.
But they had me on. They wanted to talk about, and I never used Clubhouse before. They wanted to talk about like I think it was like obscure cryptids or something like that.
Yeah, it was like that. A regional cryptid, something weird like that. Yeah.
And I brought up the Van Meter visitor.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sarah texted me and she was like, "Oh my God, Jeremiah loves you." I was like, "I don't know who." I was like, "Who?" It was like everybody's freaking out. Oh my
You
God.
did an amazing job. Like I would say it is top 3 retellings of it, and one
Wait,
of those
good.
includes Chad Lewis. So
Well, that's pretty good.
the
Well,
other the other one is the campfire tales of the
oh
strange
yeah. Oh yeah, they did, and
podcast
they did
episode.
an awesome episode
Yeah,
on it.
it's
And
really good.
I definitely, it's on the list for doing an episode over here. But from the man himself, from the biggest supporter of the Van Meter visitor, Jeremiah, do you want to enlighten people on what this thing is, or just a quick retelling of the story, or
Yeah, let me try to do. Oh man, this will be a good experiment because I've never done the quick summary of it before. But
sure.
okay, so Van Meter is a small town on the outskirts of West Des Moines or central Iowa, and it's a very small town, about 1,500 people current standards. Back in 1903, there was a 5-day period where the townspeople kept seeing a interesting figure at different parts of the town, usually around Main Street, and this was usually around 1 to 2 a.m. in the morning. Uh, Through the 5 days, you start to find out that it's a winged creature. It's about, I want to say, 8 feet tall. It's got huge bat like wings. It's got a horn on top of its head that shines out light. It has a smell as a defense mechanism. Um, it it has it likes to perch on top of the telephone pole on Main Street. It was seen going down the pole using its beak like a parrot. Um, it was heard making gasping, croaking type retching noises. And it has a 3-toed footprint that one of the gentlemen was able to make track casts of. Fast forward to one night, it was scared out of downtown by the train whistle, the mail train. There's a coal mine at the outskirts of Van Meter. It gets uh, pretty much scared into that. And then the coal mine workers, or the workers out there, they start hearing these crazy sounds from the mine shaft. And the quote from the Register, the Des Moines paper, is that it's like Satan and his imps coming forth for a battle. That's the direct quote. Pretty much that night, and so this is the last night. The sound gets worse and worse, and then um, they are they're like, what's this sound? And there's another visitor that shows up with the big, some people think it's like the mama visitor or the daddy visitor, so there's 2 of them, and the workers are like, what's going on here? And then they fly away from the mine, the 2 visitors. So now a posse appears, and they're like, we're going to take out the visitor, right? And the mini visitor. So the visitors show back up at 6 a.m. the next morning, and the quote from the paper is that the posse fires enough bullets to sink the Spanish fleet. Of course, each time you've got a gun fired at it, which is multiple times throughout the story, never hurts the visitor. So the visitors freak out. They make crazy noises. They do the smell defense mechanism again. They fly down the mine shaft to escape, never to be seen again. In this part of the story, there are weird uh, weird sightings throughout the year, but in that part of the story in 1903, that's the last time the visitors are actually ever seen.
And it's a wild, and the people that were seeing this
Mm-hmm.
thing, it wasn't just like the town drunk.
No, this is
Like
like town fathers, high up in the Masonic lodge, stuff like that. It's crazy. Yeah.
I believe the doctor, a doctor saw
Doctor,
it, banker,
bank manager. Yeah, these are
a
guys that have a
teacher.
lot to lose if they were to open their mouths.
Right. And
Yeah.
then of course this posse, and you're talking about, a group of all these people that saw it
Oh
and tried
yeah.
to shoot at it.
Oh
And
yeah.
nothing. It really reminds me a lot of we have the Crosswick monster here in Ohio, and it was kind of very
Mm,
similar, except it was like I
okay.
don't know if how many people have heard of this, but it was like more like a giant salamander type thing
Oh.
that tried to attack two boys, and they ran
Oh.
back, told their father. The father happened to be, actually, he was the town drunk. He was at the bar, and but he gathered everybody in the bar, and they all went and tried to hunt it down. They all saw it. It was inside of this tree, but it climbed down, climbed into a nearby cavern, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody, and they actually waited on the other side for it. It never came out.
Wow.
Of either side, and that was the only time anybody's ever seen it. And so, but of course, it could have been, this was also in the early 1900s, so it could
Okay.
have just been something that people
Yep.
weren't,
Yep.
they didn't have Google back then. It could have been a giant
Yeah,
salamander.
exactly. Exactly.
But not a lot of actual animals that we got classified today, have a horn that shoots out of, light, from its head. So, and they just don't look like that. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know. It is a very fascinating, of course I ran across the band Meter Visitor because I'm, doing the Mothman thing, digging into,
Mm-hmm.
flying
Mm-hmm.
humanoids
Yep.
and things like that. Which I've heard a lot of people wonder if it could or couldn't be the same thing, or,
Oh
what have
yeah.
you.
Yeah, there's a
So
hypothesis that someone brings up at the festival every, and sorry, I forgot to mention there's a festival that happens last
yeah,
weekend of September every year where the town celebrates the story of the visitor, and there's speakers, and it's a good time. But yeah, like you were saying, it's a lot of people, well, there's always a few people that are like, well, what if the visitor flew off and then like, or it like went through the cave system and ended up in Point Pleasant, and like that was the Mothman. I'm like, I don't know, like it
yeah.
doesn't really fit I'm not gonna like say no, but I'm also gonna say look at the descriptions, like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, they both had wings. That was really the only
Yeah,
similarity.
yeah.
And they were weird. I mean, they're weird, right? They don't fit our science, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, they don't look alike at all. And I'd agree with
Yeah.
that. It's Mothman's more of a human thing and looks like a humanoid rather than this thing kind of, in all
Right.
the depictions of it, it's more like a pterodactyl type thing with a horn on its head,
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
and with the big beak and everything. But how did you come across? Was it because you were already a weirdo into the weird, or was it because of something else?
Well, let's see. So 20 a while back, uh 20 is around 2016ish. I
Okay.
used to work at the Apple store in the local mall. And so a lot of good friends there, and we're all into a lot of weird stuff, right? So we were reading the paper, and there was a little blurb. It was like uh cryptid festival in Van Meter, and about the visitor. I was like, what is this? And I was talking to her. I was like, have you guys heard of this? And they're like, no. So we were looking into it, and we're like, we're just gonna go, my friend Matt and Andrew. And so we go out there and check it out. It was amazing. Like, it was such a fun story, and it was like only 20 minutes away. And like, I'd always been kind of into the weird stuff because like I used to watch In Search of series
Yeah.
with my dad, and like the documentaries and like unsolved mysteries and stuff. And like, so always kind of into the weird stuff, but like it went away for a bit and then came back after a while when I got older. Now it's really back, now it's like might be an issue, but
It's never going away
just kidding.
again.
Yeah, that's it too much. But so we it was cool. The first festival we went to, my buddy Andrew was actually involved with Small Town Monsters. He was filming some interviews for the Terror in the Skies documentary.
Okay.
And so he had I was there just watching off to the side, and they was interviewing like Chad Lewis and
Yeah.
Steve Ward, stuff like that. And he was at the last minute, Andrew was like, hey, you should be the guy who like uh gets them to talk about certain things. And there's a term for it. I can't remember the term, but I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. I guess I'll try it. And so that was really what made me like kind of planted the seed of like getting into like interviewing uh and how fun it was and talking to people. And like it was just really cool because all of a sudden I was in this situation where I was like, oh, now I can like think of the things to get the information out of the person. And it would,
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of Bigfoot Society goes back to that first festival, in the filming of the interviews before that festival. So it's like the visitor is very tied into the whole podcast. It's
You,
a weird back and forth thing.
And you're
So
crushing it with the podcast. Like you started in 2019, and it's been almost a weekly podcast that whole entire time. I mean, there's been a couple breaks, but like you're cranking out the content.
yeah,
Um,
thanks, man.
we brought up the Clubhouse stuff earlier. You an earlier adopter of that, and what blows my mind is the how efficiently you crush TikTok. And like I go on TikTok. Like, first of all, no one else is on fucking. I shouldn't say that. As far as like in the crypto community goes, the people that we know, there's not a lot
Yeah,
of people on TikTok. I go on TikTok. I follow you. I follow my daughter. I follow Alicia Silverstone, and I follow Lance Bass. And it's like
that's
it, it,
awesome.
it just blows my mind that like this guy's on fucking TikTok every other day. Like you are not.
Well,
Well,
yes,
maybe
thank you.
it
But
seems like it because I don't go on it.
yeah,
Like
yeah, exactly.
I go on enough, so whenever I go on, it's like there's always a couple of your videos kind of queued up. Um, but
If
you're
I
not.
was on TikTok every day, I would be crushing it like Bigfoot Anonymous, big time.
That's the other one I follow on there too, and that's
Holy mackerel, that gentleman has hustle like you wouldn't believe.
Oh man, and I love
Ooh,
Connor. He's so nice.
so that's what I
he
mean.
is
Like
nice.
there isn't a you are not a warehouse. You are a factory. You are making things constantly, and you obviously have a lot of hustle. What's it all building towards? What's your? Is it just the podcast? Is there something else you want to go into? Is it
Uh,
just you're trying
oh
to take the
man.
joke as far as you can take it and see what happens next? I don't mean that it's
No, I get it.
disrespectful. Yeah, like
Pat, I get
sometimes.
it.
Yeah,
Because it's like, I'll be honest, like, and that is such a that's a weird way to look at it, but I think it makes sense because it's like, I think there's a type of person where you're like, I wonder if I could
I'm that
I
kind of
wonder
person.
if I
I know.
could talk to Cliff
Yes.
Fairfin. Wouldn't that be crazy if I could actually talk to Cliff? And then it happens, and you're like, okay, this is
Okay.
weird. It's the same thing. Like I shared this on Twitter the other day where I was driving Uber a few years ago, and I found I was in the sculpture garden downtown, and I found a VIP uh, wristband to a music festival that was happening the same weekend, and I could have thrown it away, but then I was like, but what if I tried to go to the festival? And then so I went in the festival. And I was like, I wonder if it'll work. And it's a wristband. Of course it's going to work. So I get in there. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I'm like, but it's not cool enough. And then I was like, I'm going to go to the front. Okay, cool. Oh, there's a VIP area. I wonder if I can go in there. Oh, I can go in there. Okay, cool. So now I'm in this VIP area. Oh, this is kind of boring. And Wiz Khalifa is on stage. Well, maybe I could go up next to the stage. Let's see what happens. And I get up to the stage and I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of interesting. So I'm like hanging out there next to the stage, Wiz Khalifa. And this is back in the day when like he was like a really big deal, you know? And like these bouncers started running at me, and like I had my arms folded and I unfolded my arms at the last second, and they just saw the wristband. They're like, whoa, this guy's cool. Never mind. Cause like they just saw this like
That's
dad
right.
guy hanging out by Wiz Khalifa wearing like New Balances and a polo. But so that long story to say, like, yeah, some of it, Pat, is like I do like seeing, okay, can I get to the next level? Like,
Right.
it's like a video game, but it's not. But I also like really, really appreciate being able to talk to like my heroes in the field and like have like I've had some really cool, meaningful relationships come out of it. And what's it building to, Pat, is the question, right? It's like,
Well, sometimes
so
you
I
don't even know. Sometimes you're just kind of following the flow of the universe,
well,
and it's
I
seeing
kind
where
of
it
know.
takes you. And then sometimes you have a destination in mind, and you're like, well, this is kind of what I would like to do. This is,
So my main goal is like, a goal has always been, I want to help build a community where it's people can be into something weird like cryptozoology, but also like feel like they're respected and not have to be like, oh, I'm going to be made fun of because I think Bigfoot is cool or whatever. Like,
hmm
and I've done that through things like, I feel like I've definitely done that through Clubhouse, or things like the Instagram, or like it's fun to try to build communities, like, or like the Patreon, different things like that. Um, Eventually, one day, I would love to get to the point where like I can focus on this 100%,
hmm
and I it is definitely doable. It's just how long it'll take to get to that point, and like Yeah, that's the most I can.
No, I think that's a really good
Yeah, yeah,
answer,
yeah.
and
We'll leave
I
it at
think it
that.
makes
But
a
you
lot of
know, yeah,
sense.
yeah,
I know that me personally, like, do I have an end goal? I guess, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
the documentary, you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Like there's
well,
there
that's the beginning, not the end. So
there's a bit there's a something
right.
outside of what you're doing right now that's on the horizon. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I didn't
well,
know.
and there always is, and that always changes depending
Yeah,
on the milestones that I
I
hit.
didn't know if he had a book or a movie in the works or
Oh, okay.
another mountain that he was trying to climb. You know what I mean? Because he's been
Um,
dude. Like I'll tell you right now, that Patreon, those fucking membership cards, that is genius. I knew a band when I was back in the early 2000s, right? This band, the Maddox.
yeah,
They came out with these T-shirts that said "I hate emo," and everybody wanted one of those fucking T-shirts. They sold more
right,
T-shirts than they
exactly.
ever did records, but they had a product that was cool that everyone kind of wanted. I want one of those things in my wallet. That's what I mean. Like you obviously have a knack for this. You know what I mean? Like you see trends and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
come
yeah,
up with
yeah.
cool shit. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just wondering, like, hey, what else you got? What's next?
So like, and that's really what I found in like a lot of this is through like um talking with my wife about because she has an interesting viewpoint because she's not really into cryptozoology, but she also is like very smart when it comes to business and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this is just like what would so imagine like I'm this is before the podcast and like what would I really like what would have what kind of group would I have liked to come in? I'm like I would have really dug having like a super cool uh membership card, and like something special like that. And like
Yeah.
so the thing about the membership card is like and Pat, yours is coming. But like literally so I'm going to start going to different things and the idea is like when you see me at the thing and if you have the card you can be like hey I got the card and like I'll give you something cool like I have the thing like this is I haven't really talked about this a lot
That's a
but
great idea. I didn't know that.
yeah because I haven't said it yet to
Oh,
anyone
okay.
Ashers so this
Oh,
is like
wow. World premiere.
this is a
Exclusive.
big deal so I'm not going to tell you what it is but like if you this will be an item where it is very like the only way to get it literally is uh to be like, "Hey Jeremiah, how's it going?" and then make a card, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of a cool idea, right? So,
Well,
Dude,
listen, I
yeah.
will be at CryptidCon with my card in hand, the first fucking
Oh
one
yeah,
at the
for sure.
booth.
there's a lot of crypto people out there making T-shirts and fanny packs, but no one's doing shit like this. And I'm telling you, this is there's a difference, and that's why I want to pick this guy's brain because this is something different, and
So
this is
yeah,
going to be huge. This is going to be huge. That this dude's on TikTok. I mean, like this guy, he's a normal looking guy, right? There's
true. So
like Ashers, you should be on TikTok. No offense, I'm not trying to like draw a line between you guys here, but like think about
no,
people in the
Ashes would
crypto.
kill it. Oh,
Yeah,
she would kill it.
but that's the thing is that she's not like the girls aren't doing it, but this guy is, and he's doing it and he's doing it well, and like you look at that and you're like that guy's unstoppable. That guy, you know what I mean? Like this is and the what you did with the clubhouse thing. I know I
So
hate to
thank
coming
you.
back to that, but like you know what I mean? Like in that was you started something there. You legitimately started something there. And a lot of people are very good at being a part of things, but it's a different type of person that starts things. And you started something there.
Exactly.
So that's why it's
Exactly.
like, what, dude? What when I'd hate to put you on the spot with like what's next, but
Well,
like,
I mean, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I definitely have a lot more questions. But before we hit the, that end point, So I mean, going back to, like I said, we talked about the band Meter Visitor, which you can't have Jeremiah on your show without talking about it, right?
Actually,
Uh,
I'll tell you, one of the big end games is that everyone makes amazing fan meter visitor content, which has actually come into fruition. And like, there was an episode. I want to say the episode on Expedition X was because I hyped it to death.
I would
Maybe.
agree with
don't know.
that.
I think maybe, but
So Jeremiah definitely wants. So that's one of the end games. He wants
that's one of the end
band
games.
meter
Yeah,
visitor exposure.
yeah, so, yeah. It's really what it is.
Representation.
Yeah,
That's what it is. All
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Just to hype up. But the show isn't called.
influencer.
the show isn't called Van Meter Visitor Society. The show's called Bigfoot Society.
Yeah,
So
I know. Isn't that weird?
obviously, aren't you the Bigfoot guy? I mean, is that
Well, so, I struggle with the name so much because it's like I can't even remember what I was thinking when I think I was like, this will look cool or this will sound cool, or like I was looking at keywords kind of. I was like, a lot of people like
I mean, it's the
Bigfoot.
most
Yeah, totally.
it's the most accessible one. I mean,
And my Bigfoot episodes do the best. Like,
Yeah.
obviously because like a lot of people like Bigfoot, and I don't know,
Right.
it's just, and then Greg made that amazing like
with the
logo, which
monocle.
is so good.
Oh yeah.
Greg
Oh
is the
yeah.
best.
Oh
He
yeah.
rocks with the Cryptocasters on Clubhouse. Greg,
Oh
is
yeah.
brilliant, dude.
We talk about Greg all the time on the
Oh,
show.
for sure.
We're always rubbing his ego or whatever.
Whoa.
Is that how you say that? Stroking his ego, whatever.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, no, we love Greg. All the weird on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
He's always he's like second in command of the Cryptozoology Club on Clubhouse, and
He kept it going. He kept it going for sure.
oh yeah,
And
oh
he's,
yeah, he
he's
definitely
keeping it
does.
going. Yep.
He's great. But and it's not a bad idea. You know what I mean? People that are looking to get into cryptozoology, what's the most when you say cryptid, what do you think of? Bigfoot,
Mhm.
right? And so
Right.
if somebody just goes on
Yep.
Apple Podcast and
Yep.
they search and they just type in Bigfoot,
Mhm.
you're probably the first one that pops up, to be honest. Or at least
I'm getting higher up the list, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we just
Jeremiah
You're
said
right,
he's
you're
getting
right.
high right now. So
Whoa.
we
I'm
get
gonna
random people that search
No,
for
don't make that clip.
we get the random listeners that are searching for the word Wednesday. That's who we get. You know what I mean?
Oh,
if you go
yeah,
on
that's
Apple and
awesome,
you're
dude.
searching Wednesday, I think we're
Yep,
number
yep.
17 that pop up if you search for the word
Oh,
Wednesday.
that's good.
Ooh.
That's good.
What about the word weird? Isn't that what people are looking for? I don't know. What I do know is that if you Google on Wednesdays we talk weird, nothing else pops up besides the show. So
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
nothing else does.
That is great.
But I agree with that. I have to, we do the show. We also do the show. I've only missed since I've been doing the show since April. Actually, it was March of 2020.
Mhm.
I've only missed one Wednesday, only one.
Wow, that's huge.
I know. And so, but I understand because coming up with topics week after week after week, you'd think we don't really run out of topics. But you have to think it's such a broad, like sometimes you think about stuff and you're like, is that weird? Like one time we did an episode about like parenting as a weirdo and stuff, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And so like you have to,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm sure Bigfoot Society kind of puts you in a weird, I mean, you've grown more. So like you've made a name for yourself, but I'm sure starting off with like your interviews and things like that, was probably strange to reach out to people that did more than just Bigfoot.
I never really thought of that, but it probably was. That probably had a lot of people thinking like, "What is this Bigfoot guy, reaching out to me? I'm not a Bigfoot," but they never brought it up, so I just kept going. But
You didn't ask.
it's like, what
Okay.
else, because it is an actual cryptozoology themed podcast, and
Right.
like, I made it cryptozoology themed because I was like, I didn't. I was like, I gotta make it cryptozoology because it allows me to bring in so many different people. If I make it just Bigfoot or like just a certain cryptid, I'm gonna run out eventually. I'm gonna
Oh
feel.
yeah.
There are podcasts that and shows that kill it and they're only Bigfoot related. But I was
Sure.
just like, I feel if I do cryptozoology related, I can just have all sorts of fun, and then I can go through different rabbit trails if I want to, and like let's do Flatwood Monster, or let's talk to an artist, like keep on creeping on, and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's just fun.
And I think obviously it works.
Mhm.
People listen to it. I mean, and
Yeah, it's weird.
podcasting is not. It's an interesting game. You know what I mean? People don't really understand. If you have 100 listeners, you're doing awesome. You know what I mean? And so, and then
Yeah,
it like
that's
builds
true.
from there. And like
Yeah.
obviously, I'd say that your show is definitely one of the top within that community. And you can see
Thank
that
you.
looking on the charts. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Looking at the charts and things. But you've also had some really impressive people on.
Mm.
People
Mhm.
that I'm sure you consider heroes, and a lot of us would consider heroes and people that
Yeah.
we've grown
Yeah.
up reading about, and seen on TV and things like that. What do you think your favorite moment was? What interview did you get and you were like, oh my god, this is the tops?
Oh, okay. The easy. Well, there's been a few of those. I would say the first big one was definitely talking to Cliff Barrickman was really
Yeah.
cool, and then Dr. Meldrum was really cool. But then I love Dr. Meldrum. He goes on a lot of podcasts, um, but I still felt that was really cool. Also, actually, another cool one that was really the Brian Seaweed and Evan Stone from Destination Truth. Those cameramen, that was really
Oh
cool.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
fun dudes. I don't know. I my goal is like with every interview just to have like a really fun time, and like I've never had an interview where I'm like, wow, that was terrible, and like even the ones that ended up kind of super weird, like still have a good time and it brings something away from it that's really good and it was profitable. But the Cliff one was actually Cliff was one where I was like, okay, Jeremiah, you gotta focus and you gotta like not wig out and just have a cool conversation. You know what I mean? Like don't like fanboy out, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That happened with Lyle Blackburn. And I had to be like, take a second. I was like, breathe,
Oh.
let's go. Because have you ever wigged out a celebrity?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This happened to me in the Chicago O'Hare Airport once, Pat.
Oh.
And I found it was Mike Ditka was just hanging out in there. And I was like, Mike Ditka, this is awesome. And I was like hyped up. And it was not because of football. It was because I had just seen the movie Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. And I was like, this guy is awesome and hilarious. So he looked up at me and he was like, dude, I'm just trying to play my game. And it was like one of those 1980s like battery poker games. And I was like, oh no. So after that, I've never freaked out on anyone.
Yeah.
And I try to make it a thing where I'm like, just have a normal, cool conversation and people are people. And I think like a lot of that comes through the way I try to do the podcast is it's just a normal, cool conversation. Talk about like Grateful Dead with Cliff Barrickman and just
Sure.
weird stuff, you know? So,
Well, and that's definitely, I mean, this community is definitely, they're very much people, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh, yeah,
and
totally.
that makes it easy,
Yep.
because they're not, we aren't talking about A-list celebrities, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They are
right,
to us,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
like, they're to each other in the community,
Mhm.
but like, just as popular as they are, we all have now become or we're going to be or
That's
whatever.
weird, right?
And
Yeah.
it's wonderful. It is weird. I had that moment like probably about a month ago, when Craig Woolheater sent me a friend request on
Oh, no
Facebook and
way.
then messaged me, sent me a
Wow.
message, and it messaged me first, and I was like, oh, this is insane to me
That's
because
really
like
cool.
I'm into this, because I got into it at a young age. But one of the earliest things I remember doing was waking up every day and checking the Cryptomundo website.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe it. And he sends me a message talking about the Cryptomundo website. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was really cool. That was one of my, this is tops moment, and, but I'll tell you what my favorite episode, my favorite interview from the Bigfoot Society podcast.
Okay. All right, cool.
Is definitely the first interview that you ever did.
This horrifies me that you're bringing this stuff up because I can't remember any of them. So go ahead. Like it was, they're bad. They're
You don't
really
remember the
bad.
first one that you ever did?
No, I don't.
It was yourself.
Oh man, it's I told you it's so bad.
I know it wasn't. It was great. Listen. Okay, so if we have anybody that comes on, one thing that I do like to do, which I think you're the first one I've actually ever brought this up to, but like I
Okay.
listen to Bigfoot Society, but I've been listening to it current, like so since I've met you, I've been listening, but I haven't gone back and listened to the old episodes. So I definitely
Okay.
want to listen to the most recent episode, which
Yep.
I do
Yep.
every week, and then I want to listen to like the very first episode and compare and kind of see how different and
Oh,
how
yeah,
far
it's
people
totally
have come.
different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
No, listen, you guys.
so much different in so many ways. It's
It's amazing to see that kind of growth because it is so drastically different. But I'm going to tell you right now, Jeremiah, that those first couple episodes of Bigfoot Society, like I was sold. I would have listened to it from the gate because I was so
thank you.
fucking entertained.
Thank you.
I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, Jeremiah, he's just way too fucking cool.
The one thing I remember is like I used to drive Uber a lot when we were paying off debt, and like
Yeah.
I used to use the Anchor app on my phone and
Oh
just
yeah.
record directly into the phone. So I remember like waiting in my car downtown and just like, I'm going to record an episode. And then it was like all of a sudden, like this cop car comes by. I'm like, oh, the cops. And
Yeah,
it's just
there's
it's
one
weird.
episode where you very much can tell you're in the car because you can hear your windshield wipers.
Oh, that's hilarious. Everyone brings up like yeah.
No, it was great, and you're like okay, go on. And I didn't know at that point in time you had actually had a following on Instagram, but you had brought it up. You're like, oh, Instagram, there's people over there. If you want to come on for an interview, come on for an interview. And you're like, well, nobody wanted to come on, so I'm just going to interview myself.
Yeah, I was kind of like, forget this.
It was amazing, and you're like answering the questions, and you're like, wow, that's a really good question that I wrote for myself.
Actually, you want to know something funny?
Yeah.
So if Yami had not, I did that another time. I was like, hey, does anyone want to go on an interview? That night, I was like, if someone doesn't say yes, I'm shutting it down because this is ridiculous.
Wow.
So if Yami had not said yes and said like, I'll come on, I would just shut that sucker down. Isn't that crazy? Like
that is crazy.
Little decision like that can like decisions are weird,
And I think it's really cool. No, it's a great time capsule. I mean, especially because I'm sure. Do you have issues now? Because you're strictly an interview show. Do you have issues sometimes getting people to come on? Or
yes,
I believe that. Well, listen, if you guys want to be on Bigfoot Society,
did you hear the outrage in my? Well, it's just fine because then those become like super goals. Like, okay, I have to figure out how to get the connection.
Sure,
and I will get it.
and that's fun,
But,
and you do for the most part. Yeah, I mean, at least it
Yeah.
seems. I mean, even if you don't have your shit together, as long as we all believe. I have this theory that like if I keep my fingernails painted, right, then it doesn't matter what I'm wearing or if my hair's unbrushed. Like people think I have the illusion that I got my shit together, right, and that's what's important.
Totally.
But, I thought it was a lot of fun to go back and, listen to the really early episodes. And they were really short. I mean, they were like 10, 25. I think the interview was like 25 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, definitely worth the listen. We kind of talked. And then immediately after that, I think it might have been Yami. I don't remember. One of the first episodes you had was with Seth Breedlove.
Yeah, that was before that was before the Yami one. Cause it was like, I think what I did was hey, Seth, could I interview you? And like, he knew who I was because I'm actually listed in the credits for Terror in the Skies as like an assistant in some way.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, okay, I'll do this, whatever. And I've like got to interview him every pretty much like once a year. And I'm interviewing him in February around the Kickstarter. And we're going to do I announced this today where we're just like the after show now is like the Patreon members can come on and ask a question, which is something I would have loved to be able to do just as, a cryptid enthusiast without a podcast. So I was like, this would actually be kind of cool. I got the idea from Shannon LeGros. So.
And that is a really good idea. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Have that, that's what people pay for the Patreon for, is the interaction.
It's an experience that you can't get
anywhere else.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And so I think it's a good idea, but I thoroughly enjoyed that early interview with Seth, especially now knowing cause you guys, you're definitely more acquainted now, and you've got newer interviews with him. But like this first one, he's like, I got to leave for a minute. There's a dead rabbit outside.
I gotta listen to that one again. That's really funny.
And he does. He gets up and you just start talking about. I think it was like Bigfoot or something, because that's what you guys were talking about. Was the Bigfoot things that were coming out, and then he comes back. He's like, "Hey, I'm back."
Yeah, I was like, I guess I didn't realize that. Yeah, you can just edit that out, dummy. Like, you don't have to like fill the dead air. But
You should put that in a sound clip. It was great.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
Oh, it's
but
funny
you
stuff.
know, again, even listening to that interview, you know, it's still not the same Jeremiah that we have now. And
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's a
I
fun
agree with that.
contrast, but it's a part of, you know, how you got to be where you're at currently.
That's
You
true.
know, so
Yeah.
I will always support, you know, I think about that a lot because originally when I started this show, I had a different co-host. And I've considered pulling the episodes with the old co-host because it's the show's not that anymore. Um, but I
Mm.
like seeing the progression because I think about
Yeah.
that when
Yep.
somebody sees your show for the first time, if they start at episode 1, and that's what I tell people, the first podcast, if you listen to the first episode of a certain podcast, don't listen to the first episode, listen to the
Mm.
last one.
Mm. I like that. Okay.
You know,
Yep.
because
Yep.
that's what you're going to get. That's current, you know, but if people do, if people land, and some people have rated the show based off of like the first episode,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and it's drastically different than
Yeah.
it is now. And we as podcasters, we understand that, but the average person probably doesn't, you know what I mean? And so but that's, that's what I highly recommend. But if you listen to Bigfoot Society already, and you haven't listened to those first couple episodes, go do it. It's great, especially if you know Jeremiah, you really really thoroughly enjoy it like I did. And
Thank you. Yeah.
I endorse it. um I think it's great. But so we've talked about some bits of the show. We kind of talked about a little bit of what's in the future and kind of how
Mhm.
you're just seeing, and I would agree. I mean, I think that you've got a really good flow as far as the show goes. I think with Bigfoot Society, that what you're doing. I think your show's pretty solid. I don't think it's going to change much if it does.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and
I don't think so.
I think that like with the TikTok and with the Clubhouse things, those are signs that you definitely are trying to branch out
Mm-hmm.
into doing other things, and try to kind of see where that goes. I mean, would you do well? Okay, hold on. Let me back up a little bit more.
Yep.
Um, we talked about the Van Meter visitor stuff. Would you say that the Van Meter visitor is your favorite cryptid, or would you say it's Bigfoot?
I got this. I've
Maybe
been
it's
asked
neither.
this a lot
Sure.
recently. I would have to say that like my favorite, just because, and it's just because I live so close to it, and it's like regional. I think has a lot to do it with it, but like it is my favorite, because I so the thing that I like to do is I like seeing something that has potential and that isn't really well known, and just like hyping it up so much, and just like to see or like to create connections between people. I love doing that too. It's just some weird thing that I love.
Sure.
So I part of it is like at the beginning, not a lot of people knew about it, and then like just to see like, hey, this is hyped up and like hee. So I would say my favorite is like the Van Meter Visitor, but like if I was to like, okay, let's actually go research, go after a cryptid, and you can only pick one. I think that would be really cool to like go and look for Bigfoot. That would be
For
pretty
Bigfoot.
rocking.
Well, because you don't, you mentioned the Van Meter visitor thing is actually kind of a recent thing. I guess I didn't realize that you had kind of just discovered it in 2016 ish.
Yeah.
But you're not from Iowa. Is that correct?
Nope. Um, so I grew up in Western Mass, and let's see, I moved out to Iowa about, we can say like 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then, but as a kid in Western Mass,
Yeah.
well, I
Uh-huh.
guess even as an adult, I mean, you got into Bigfoot at an early age and weird stuff at an early age.
So not yeah, I had exposure to it, but I wasn't into it. So that's the
Okay.
weird thing, Asher. Is like because there's so much weird stuff like out in New England, and like when I
Yeah.
was out there, I wasn't into it. So I had so many missed opportunities, right? And like I didn't start getting into it until I actually moved out to Iowa. And like there's some weird stuff out here, but not a lot, not compared to other places.
Sure.
So you kind of have to, that's why you have to hype up the stuff
See
so it
what you
gets,
got.
yeah. But yeah, like my dad was really into nature stuff, and like we would go out in the woods and like track animals and like hike the Appalachian Trail and stuff. And but like I wasn't thinking about Bigfoot the entire time because it wasn't my focus out there, you know. So like so many missed opportunities, but it is what it is, you know.
So, throughout the course of your life, I mean, I'm assuming you haven't seen anything crazy, extravagant, but have you had any type of encounters with high strangeness?
Let me think for a second. I would say the weirdest. I think I shared this with Ryan Sprague.
Okay.
So we lived in Western Mass in a town called Northfield. If you look at a map, it's where Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts kind of intersect, right? So I was still living with my parents. This is a while ago, and we're watching. I'm in my room, which is off the garage. My parents are in the main house, and I all of a sudden I hear this like like really like kind of thing. I'm like, that's weird. It's dark, and it sounds like there's this huge engine outside. So I go out of my room. Dad comes out of the house at the same time. We look up. This this is where it gets really weird. Like this huge ship flies over. We watch it like come over the woods in front of us, and it starts to come over the house very like very slowly, but like a huge like engine and like almost triangle shape, and like these huge like, you know, on like the Star Wars ships where there's like the huge circles, and it's got like, it's almost like you feel like the light is like just like coming out of the circle towards
Oh
the
yeah.
earth, but not really. It's hard to explain. There's the biggest ship I've ever seen. It was very low to the ground. It was dark, but it was like you could still see it. And I look at my dad, and I was like, uh, and have you ever experienced like your parent like not having the first time your parent doesn't have an answer?
Oh yeah.
That was it. And we were both like, and he was more like, didn't talk, like eventually it went away, and then we went back inside, and I was like, I gotta know what that is, this is nuts. And he was just like, don't talk about it. And never really
Oh.
found out what it was. uh I asked him a few years later if he thought it was a UFO. He's like, yeah, definitely not. I was like, oh come on, like,
Well, that
I don't
area that
know,
you're
I don't know.
describing is very much like the "don't talk about it" belief is very prevalent there.
Oh, it's totally New England, don't talk about it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when we've had Kinsey Gleason, she's been on twice now,
Yep.
and she's mentioned that she's in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very normal, just all throughout the Appalachians, it's like that. They're very, hush hush, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I
They're
think
very
that's
attractive.
human beings in general. When you see something that out of the ordinary, is not to talk
Yeah.
about it. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
it might be regional, but I think it's just how we kind of defend ourselves from the abnormal. You know what I mean? By
Mm.
not becoming a part of it, not playing ball.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
during your Jeremiah, during your interview with Shannon over at her Patreon, Shannon Legro, was it Legro, or is that how you say it?
Shannon LeGros is how I say it.
Legro. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. I always
Yeah.
I always feel bad because I'm just that's not I'm
Yeah.
a Freudian investigator, not a mathematician or whatever.
Right.
You know, I don't do rocket surgery. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, but you guys were kind of talking about, people with their Bigfoot sightings and how, like, how much go unreported and underreported, or like you'll post a video and be like, hey, have you seen Bigfoot? And then all these people will flood in with
Oh
it.
yeah, on TikTok, it's wild.
Yeah. And,
It's just crazy. Yeah.
all of a sudden, you got all these people that probably wouldn't have ever, without that prompt, would have ever even
Mm-hmm.
talked about it again.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd agree with that. But that as well. Now, was that before you had started getting into like In Search Of, or was that maybe after? Or was that...
So the In Search Of time would be like when I'm a little kid. That would be
Okay.
more like you're 8 to 9 years old. Uh the seeing what, I don't know what that was. I was close to like, um it was, I would say, early 20s.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
pretty. Oh, so you were very aware of what was kind of maybe going on.
Yeah. I wasn't like into the weird stuff, but I was like, I would like if something seemed weird, I was gonna like take notice of it. But I wasn't like, let's make a podcast right now, you know.
Well, sure.
Not at that point
Fair
yet.
enough.
So yeah.
Have you ever shared that story on your podcast?
Yeah. The when I
Okay.
had Ryan Sprague on,
Oh yeah,
um,
You
it's
said that.
probably yeah. I think I go through it a little bit longer too on that episode.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
definitely check that out, you
Because
guys.
Ryan Sprague, you got to talk about that stuff if you have him on. So
Oh yeah, definitely. He's
Mhm.
He's the guy. So
he is the guy for sure.
that's for sure. Okay. All right. Well, no, very cool. I mean, I think that's thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm no stranger to that kind of situation. Pat isn't either. So there's that. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions. Pat, do you have anything else to bring up, to pull up, to add?
No. I mean, I'm
That's
sorry.
cool. That's cool.
No, I mean, like I guess you're kicking ass. You found a niche. You're kicking
Yeah.
ass, and you're setting shit on fire. And I can't wait to see what you do next with it. And best of luck and thanks for everything you've done for all of us. Because you have
Yeah, I appreciate that.
you have built a community and you have left your mark and you
Yeah.
have even if you just did it as a joke, which I totally understand when
not as a joke for sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm still at the point where I'm like, so I'll say this real quick, guys. Like,
Sure.
keep in mind, well, I guess I've met people now, but it used to be like I had only met a few people, and like a lot of it is just like I'm just talking in my basement. So like I'm super pumped when I finally get to go to CryptoCon and actually meet
Oh
the
yeah.
people I've been talking to
Oh yeah.
for a few years, just to try. Like a lot of this some of this has been just let's get through the pandemic, and
Were you not like a meet internet people kid growing up?
Well, Pat,
not to put you on the spot. I didn't mean to turn that into something, but like I grew up like meeting people off AOL and shit. Like I think 19.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I'm trying. Pat, we must be close to the same age, right?
I just turned 40 this in 2001.
Okay, we're pretty close. Yeah, we're a few years off. So you remember when like the internet came into your house?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
Guessing.
Yeah.
I never did the like actually meet people off the internet, but yeah, I was a little bit too young, but I'm pumped to be able to meet you guys and someday, and like people like I'll say all the peeps because I'm gonna miss a name and then it'll be terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's so many awesome relationships that I would love to continue that by actually meeting the person. That'd be super
definitely.
cool. So I can't wait. But
and I mean, and you've met some people. You got a little bit of taste. I mean, you
Alex and Eli and like Cryptic Comforts and the Creepy Acres guys and
oh yeah. So you've got the corner over there on the Van Meter Festival. And so
that's true. If you come to that festival, you meet me there. So
absolutely right for certain, and hopefully, CryptidCon going forward, continuously. So, which is always a big, that's a big to do. But no, that is a really great. It's awesome. You talk to these people for so long, and they
I
so
know
much about them, and then when you actually get to physically see them, it's nothing compares.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
It's great. But no, I'm glad. I'm excited about it. Obviously you're excited about it. Okay, well, I'll steal some of yours here. What do you what do you we talked about the beginning and now the current. Well, what would you say to people starting off and podcasting, or just building communities, or new people to this when they feel discouraged and they feel like it's not worth it?
So I would say you will go far if you treat every person like they're the most important person. Everything relies on relationships, and you gotta respect like don't be one of the people where it's like you're hanging out in the Facebook group and you're like, oh, Joe Schmo saw Bigfoot. More like not, like
Okay.
just
Damn, dude, that's a wicked
just
burn.
I know. I mean, I'm not gonna call people out, but come on, guys. Like, just be nice to people. And like our world is so tough that if people will find you if you're just treating people with respect, being nice, having a good time. And I mean, obviously only do the cryptid stuff if you love it. Like I was talking to Ron Lanham about that last week and I was like, can you believe there are people that like are trying to make like don't be fake, just be
Oh yeah.
real, be yourself, advice business wise, try to do as much as you can without like getting paid services first.
Smart. Yeah.
Oh, here's a big business thing too. If you make a podcast and you're like, I'll never do a website, you should probably buy the website name anyways.
Oh yeah.
Because now Bigfoot Society is $4,000.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like
Who's
it's like
got
just
it?
buy.
Is it some dude fucking with you, or is it like?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see who owns it, but I'm like, oh man,
But you
I could have
emailed them
bought it
and
for
you
$8.
did you email
No,
them?
I haven't tried to contact, but I'm
People
like,
buy up all these domains
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
and
So
price people strangers do it and price them up way high because they anticipate that there'll be a business eventually, and
yeah,
that's what they do. So that's probably
yeah.
what has happened. No, that's good advice. That's good advice. Also, membership cards apparently, because let me tell you, that is where it's. I
Oh,
flash it
Pat.
all the time. I'm like, look at this. I told you when I have to pull up my ID. I'm like, here you go, and they're like, this is not. And I'm like, oh,
And you're
sorry,
like,
that's
just give
fine.
it
Oh,
to
I
me,
can't
please.
wait to try to buy weed with one of those things.
Oh, man. So the weirdest stories I've gotten so far is I've had two people tell me where they've been wearing the podcast shirt
Yeah,
somewhere, and they're like, the other person has said, oh my goodness, I love that podcast and I listen to it. And that to me is just like, you're totally lying.
Right.
But like, it's weird when stuff like that starts to happen, because then it's like, oh, it's not just you're talking in your basement anymore. Because like,
yeah,
I'm close to 100K downloads.
yeah.
I'm
Oh
like
yeah.
at 90K. It's
Oh yeah.
pretty awesome. But
You like I said, you've done really well, obviously, and you'll. I mean, you're gonna get there, So
yeah,
it's and that is. I mean, that kind of you have those moments because we've talked about it. We've commiserated a little bit. There's
mm-hmm.
not a lot of the greatest thing that the greatest gift that you can give your favorite podcaster is feedback.
Oh my goodness, yes. I've only gotten feedback 3 times this entire time. And one of them
Yeah.
was last night. I'm not even kidding.
Oh yeah, it's difficult to
It's
get that
difficult. Yeah.
validation, and it's like, and you see the numbers, so you're like, okay, I know it's there,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't. You don't hear it a lot. You need that reassurance. We're human. We like reassurance, and that helps us a lot because really the only thing we have, at least on like YouTube, with strictly YouTube channels, not just like because our podcast is on YouTube, and I don't really push it or anything. Yours is on YouTube, and I don't know. Well, you've been pushed a little bit more lately. People can comment there, which is nice, but like that's really it. Like you don't really get, and then like I think Apple has reviews that you can leave.
True.
And then that's limited, because then it's just the people that have access to iTunes or whatever. So but one of the best things you can do, even if it's in the form of a message, hey, I really love your stuff, or even a comment on our what we're shilling next, if you leave that feedback, it's extremely important. That means more to us than anything. So
100%. Or like I had one person where they were like, hey, I was having a really tough time last year, and literally the only thing that helped me through it was listening to your podcast, and thank you for that. And like that to me, it made the entire last few years worth it. Like,
oh yeah,
if and I'll just leave it at that. But it's like you got you got to let the creators know.
Yeah,
that
we
kind
don't
of
think
stuff.
it's weird at all. We enjoy
awesome.
that. Like
Awesome.
you're not being weird, or you're not driving us away. We will we will definitely respond to that. But anyway, and then another question that I'm going to steal from you. What kind of books do you recommend people
books?
buy?
Yeah, so Asher's I got a few here, and like I'm barely at the point where I'm starting to actually like I'm starting to get cool books for Christmas, and like
Yeah.
actually I can buy books for myself. Like for a while there, I didn't have any books, but like okay, so the ones that I like a lot right now, um, I finally got a copy of it, and like it is really that good. Like Sasquatch Legend Meets Science by Jeff
Yeah.
Meldrum, you got to get that. And if you're into Bigfoot, Ken Gerhardt's book, The Essential Guide to Bigfoot, is like probably the best summary that I've read so far in like an easy way to read. That one is really good to pick up. I really enjoy uh, The Van Meter Visitor by Chad Lewis just because there's a lot of really cool stuff you can get from their history, different things that are going on in the U.S. cryptid wise. It's a good one. Oh, and I would say, actually, here's one that's kind of cool. I actually really like it a lot. The West Virginia Cryptids. It's a book. It's kind of like it's a book, yeah, by Les Odell, and it's got
Oh
really
yeah.
cool illustrations by Mark Randall about West Virginia cryptids, but it also got uh, the Polk Gap Monster in it, which is a regional Bigfoot there, and it's like the only book that you can see that written about in, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So
Wow.
I'm
That
starting
sounds
to
like
get the books. Those are the main ones that come to mind right now that I'm enjoying.
well,
So
and you've been doing this page by page thing with the Legend Meets Science book. And is that something that you are going to continue? Do you want to go
yes,
into that a little bit and explain? And
yeah. So I was trying to come up with an idea of like a series I could do for TikTok, and it's like whenever you start to do that, that's when you get sick, and then
sure.
it's like, oh, I feel like garbage, and then you don't do it for a few days. But so what I was literally doing, and it was a way of keeping me accountable because like this book is so massive, and I'm the kind of person that like if I just start reading a book and read a lot at once, I'm not going to get a lot from it.
I
But if I
understand.
just like focus on a page, I'm like, okay, I got to pick some stuff out of here and then like be able to share that in a way. That's how I'm going to learn. So it's half like I want to be a really cool, informative series that no one else had ever done, but also it's kind of a thing for me because it's like helping me actually learn the stuff too at the same time. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm going like page by page in the book literally, and like it's such a weird book because it was written in, I want to say it was written in the 90s, I think. Was it? Oh, holy crap. No, it wasn't. 2006. Yikes. We are
Oops.
super old. Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, like the pictures in the book of like Meldrum, it's like really young Meldrum where he's got the sweet
Oh.
mustache and stuff, you know? And he looks like it's like how Connor, like young Meldrum
Yeah.
equals Connor Anderson in my mind, which is weird, but yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
gonna say, like, and I would be surprised if you guys don't know who Jeff Meldrum is, but if you don't know who
that's
Dr.
true.
Jeff Meldrum is, he's I adore him also.
Yeah,
Check him out. He's the
cool
guy
guy.
knows his stuff. He's been around the block a little bit,
Hmm.
but still lots of life. So definitely,
He's the
definitely check.
nicest dude.
Yeah,
He's
no,
so nice.
he's great, and you can do that. You can check out Jeff Meldrum by checking out Bigfoot Society podcast because I believe that guy over there did an interview with him. That I don't know if you've heard of it, but yeah, he did an interview over there with them. So
Yeah, and I think I'm the only one he's talked to about like how he saw a oversized owl figure on the side of his bed.
wow,
He had like, I was like,
I
share
hadn't
the
heard that.
weirdest.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's in there's a two-part interview I did with him.
sure.
Listen to the second part, and he talks about some UFO sightings he had, and he also talks about a it's not Mothman. He says it's more like a big owl that he saw up in Montana at a cabin, but you get what I'm saying.
Wow.
Like yeah, so he's just the nicest dude. He'll talk about anything, and he's cool.
Wow.
Like,
No, that's great. Okay, well, where can people find you? I mean, obviously your links are going to be down below, but
yes.
you know,
I would say easiest is if you look up at Bigfoot Society on Instagram, and then my link tree is in there, and that's where all the other links are. And yeah, check out YouTube and all that good
Sure.
stuff. All major podcast platforms as well. So
Awesome. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Jeremiah. Super exciting to talk to you. Guys, definitely go check them out. I can't express that. If you like listening to me, you can listen to me over on the Bigfoot Society.
That's true. I did interview Ashers, which was a super fun interview. And thank you so much, Pat and Ashers, for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, guys, we'll see you back here next Wednesday.